Hey everyone, Aaron with Stage Fright Theater. For those of you who don't know us, we perform original Halloween theater at various spooky events. But recently we've decided that we wanted to highlight other macabre productions, just to kind of pay it forward, because we believe in supporting other artists and independent art. It's just sort of a company philosophy. Now this video is kind of unique and exciting because we're going to head out to La Cañada Flint Ridge and spend some time with the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company. We found Leigh during Midsummer Scream. We were there performing our show, and I walked the floor and noticed a booth advertising as Zombie Ballet. And I thought, yeah, we have to check this out. So I emailed them, and Leigh and Jen, who you're going to meet in a few minutes, were kind enough to let me kind of eavesdrop on their rehearsal with my camera. Now, most performing artists don't want people to see rehearsals because they're afraid people will judge a work in progress rather than the finished product. But these dancers allowed me to film the entire rehearsal and didn't ask me to make any edits. This is kind of nice because it allowed us to spend some time talking about the process, and I got to see the hard work that goes into staging an original ballet. Now, it might come as a shock to some of you that I am not a dancer, but what struck me in talking to Leigh and Jen and the other dancers is to hear how close the process is to acting. Now, they don't use dialogue, but they use their bodies. They use movement, they use facial expressions, all to convey meaning and tell a story, which is oddly almost exactly how actors breathe life into dialogue. The story they're telling is fascinating. It's an original story, a sequel to Romeo and Juliet. It brings Shakespeare's most famous lovers back from the grave, and if that doesn't intrigue you, I don't know what will. So we're going to take a look at their official trailer first to kind of give you a sense of what the finished product is like. And then we'll pull back the curtain for a behind-the-scenes look at the rehearsal for Sweet Sorrow, a zombie ballet. Enjoy.
I'm Leigh Purtill, and I'm the artistic director of the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company. I'm the choreographer and the overall cheerleader, and that's what I do, artistic director.
My name is Jen Marchane, and I'm the company manager at Leigh Purtill Ballet Company. I also have a few different roles in the show this year. I'm a zombie, I'm a vampire, and I'm a raven.
And you're not just that.
I'm the apothecary.
But you're also a lost soul.
I'm also a lost soul.
That's right. You're like in every dance.
I forgot.
You're in a lot of dances.
Yeah.
My name is Elena Castellanos, and I'm a dancer with the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company. I play Juliet.
company, and I say we because Jen is one of the original company members, founders, my overall muse for a lot of what we do, our shows, and just, you know, we put a lot of this together ourselves, although we have very different skill sets and, you know, complementary, you know, responsibilities. But we started the company in 2017, and at the time it was, we started it just because I really wanted to do a full-length version of Sweet Sorrow Zombie Ballet. I wanted to do a full show and not just a little snippet. So we said, hey, the best way to do that is to have a dedicated group of dancers. And that's how it started.
Yeah.
I've been working with Leigh, with the company since 2022. I joined the company in 2022, so like 2 years. But I actually met her during the pandemic. So the first thing that I saw about her was a zombie ballet. I didn't know what it was. And then I started taking classes with her. And after that, she invited me to audition for the company.
I've been with the company since its start, as Leigh mentioned. I also danced with Leigh previous to the ballet company starting for many years. She was my ballet instructor, and I came back to dance as an adult, like 14 years ago or something like that. And yeah, I've been sort of involved ever since. So that's how I got involved in the company.
The show, it's called Sweet Sorrow, a zombie ballet, and it's basically like a sequel to Romeo and Juliet. So the show opens up with the typical Romeo and Juliet. They love each other, the families pull them apart, and then they die. And after that, it's when the real story begins. There's this character, which she's amazing. She's called the Apothecary, and she'll bring them back to life, but as zombies. And actually, Julia's cousin, Rosalind, follows them into the underworld. So basically, the whole story develops in the underworld. It's about Rosalind trying to find Romeo and Juliet, finally getting together, and they just have a bunch of adventures in the underworld. It's pretty fun.
The story of Sweet Sorrow. Well, so the zombie ballet, what we call, like a lot of people call zombie ballet, is just like a 1.5 minute snippet that we've shown at various horror conventions and schools and Art Night Pasadena, all this kind of thing. And that started in 2009, and I started it it was just a little piece. It was a piece of music that I really liked. It's called Dance of the Nights from the Prokofiev score for Romeo and Juliet. And it's a really iconic piece of music. And I decided to do something that was like zombie related. It was like at Halloween or something. And it everybody really enjoyed doing it. And it kind of like, oh, hey, let's make this a something, you know? And we did it at Art Night, and it's sort of, you know, it was just like this little piece, and it was a lot of fun. And then I wrote a novel that's called Sweet Sorrow. And I wanted to take this, and I thought, well, I'm going to take that little piece of zombie ballet and like expand it into this novel, basically. It's a sequel to Romeo and Juliet. So the characters of Romeo and Juliet are dead at the beginning, so it kind of starts from there. And then you add zombies and all these other interesting creatures. From a storytelling point of view, it was a lot of fun. I kind of followed the Nutcracker structure, which is you start in this normal place, kind of like Alice in Wonderland, right? And then you follow that into this weird place, and then you come back from it. And that's how I sort of structured the story of it itself. Although it's changed an awful lot. The very, very basic story is the same, but it has evolved a tremendous amount.
You put more characters in. Yeah. I think the first year we did it was only a 45-minute production.
It was 50 minutes, but without an intermission.
Yeah, we had no intermission. We actually did 2 shows in one day.
Yeah.
That was fun. So it's definitely evolved.
The way that I approach movement, the way that I sort of marry movement and character, actually for me it was a very hard process. I'm a trained classical dancer, so for me movement comes quite easily. But what I love about Leigh's show is that you also have a lot of character into it. You have to act your emotions. So at some point you have to tell to yourself, like, okay, who are you? Who are you playing? And then you start giving each movement a feeling. So for example, if you're just doing like reaching out for someone, it's just not this. It's like I'm reaching out for my lover that I haven't seen. Or if you're doing a pirouette, which is a pretty turn, I think everybody has seen it. It's the one where they go like this. You start to ask, okay, what does that movement mean? How does it relate to the story? So you're like, okay, this is like a fun, free movement because we're together. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It really, for me especially, it's very hard. I had to go through a whole process of like actually reading Romeo and Juliet, watching a bunch of other ballets, see how they act, see their characteristics, see plays with Romeo and Juliet so I could understand the character better, just because I'm not a trained actor. But in the end, I think that I'm sort of getting the handle of it. And something that helps out is the rest of the company. Everybody's such a good dancer and is such a good actor that you just played off them, and it just makes it easy.
So one of the reasons that the company exists is we have our mission statement is ballet for everyone. And so it's not just ballet for different ages and levels and experiences and all different demographics of the dancers, but it's also everyone in the audience. So we want people in the audience to connect with the stories, connect with the characters, connect with the people that they see, and then it becomes, oh, I could like this. It's not just about, little swans dancing and, like I know a lot of people, it's kind of like going to the opera. It's like, I don't think I'm going to understand that, so I'm not going to bother. Yeah. And we want people to see that ballet can tell all kinds of stories. It can have all kinds of characters and all kinds of dancers portraying those characters. Mm-hmm. And if they see people, if they see stories that they can respond to, like they can laugh, they can be a little bit frightened, or they can be surprised, or they can be intrigued in some way, like if we use different types of music or something, then it becomes something that they can talk about in a positive way and tell other people, hey, it's not, ballet is not such a bad thing, so
it's not just for
a particular group of people.
Yeah, and I think case in point to that, we've had audiences that we've been to horror conventions, we've showcased our little segment there in various places, and we've captured interesting audience that way, because we have people come to our shows that you would not normally have come to a ballet show, and they come away from it like, oh, that was so much fun, versus I'm not going to understand the story, or like it feels a little intimidating. I came up in that world, like I was raised, I started when I was young, and I kind of came up and thought I was going to go pro and the whole thing, and it really is, there is an element of like isolation for certain groups of people that can't come and see it, so that being accessible is really important to us, to really convey that message out, not to just dancers per se, but to a wider audience.
Exactly, that's one thing about ballet. You can't use your voice, so you have to express with your whole body, your whole face. And the thing is that classical ballet has some pantomimes that you can use, but that's pretty like niche. Only ballet people know what they mean. Like this means dead, this means to get married, true love means something like this, I forgot. But what I really like about Leigh's shows is that, actually the whole thing of the company is ballet for everyone. So the way that she tells the story, yes, we sometimes use those things, but we also use movement and sometimes just standing there and looking at the other person to convey what we want, to convey that meaning, so people can follow the story without actually having to go back to like classical ballet and say like this means that. Like you can see it and you'll understand the story pretty well.
One of the things that we do, first of all, we're starting with classical ballet. It's not, we're not using other forms of dance, like, and there's a lot of dance companies that will sort of integrate, they'll use jazz or hip hop or tap or some other forms of dance, but we are strictly, it's a classical ballet, but we start with we always have the very first meeting of the first rehearsal. So let's say we're talking about spiders, right? So we have this characters, Black Widow spiders. And so we start with that and we say, okay, well, this is what what's the scene is being, what we need to convey in the scene. Then we have these characters, and this is the part of the story that's being told. How do we do that? And now, how would that character move? And so we explore it, and I think one of the things that I really enjoy about this company that I think is different from a lot of other companies is that we give a lot of freedom to the dancers to be comfortable in trying new things. So instead of me saying, this is how you're going to do it, I say, let's explore how you're going to do it. And so I might have ideas, but I want to see what they embody. What does a spider mean to them? How does that move? How do they move? How do we take a particular type of movement and turn it into a spidery movement? You know, like with the zombies, we talk about beginning, like the movement has to start in a particular part of the body. You know, it's like, where does it start for you? You know? And of course, we always start, like with the zombies, it's like, how did you die? All right, so, you know, so what's your story? So every character has a story. And then it's like, you know, whether it's obvious, you know, or whether it's just something that they use, you know. So depending on the character, I think.
And I think because of that approach, there's a feeling of safety in the room, you know, like people can share ideas, and some things might not stick, or there's a different idea you have, and that's great, but like it's a safe place to kind of like express that, so that's also a big thing.
Yeah, so people aren't afraid, but people aren't afraid to look not pretty. They're still going to be, the thing is, they're still innately going to be, they're dancers. They have a natural grace to them, but by not being afraid to move in a different way, they can be authentic, and it feels organic instead of people like, oh, I don't really want to not look nice. You know, it's like. Well,
it's interesting because I mean, you've given us choreography that is purposefully awkward. Yeah. And so we can work with that, you know. But that's what makes it unique. I think that's what people like. That captures their eye.
Yeah, and it feels authentic and organic to the dancers, so it doesn't, you know, you don't feel like they are being awkward. If they're being awkward, it's because they want to be awkward. Yeah. It's like it's supposed to be awkward.
Ballet has a very good and a very bad reputation. I always say it's both. It's a lot of discipline, a lot of character that you need, you need to be training all the time, but it's true. Hopefully, right now it's changing, but yeah, before ballet used to be very lit. You look for ballet tickets, they're super expensive, and then when you finally go and sit on a show, it's a beautiful show, but you can't see yourself there. Whereas with Leigh, what I really like is that you see everyone. I think that she does a very good job at adapting everything to the dancer without having the dancer be like, oh, you can't do that, you're out. There's like 20 other people that can do your part. She really takes care of the dancers, and I think it shows up in the show. Everybody loves being here. The sense of community is beautiful. And I think that having so many different bodies, different skill levels, and making a whole show out of it despite the differences, it calls for something very new. And incorporating like zombies, I think it's amazing because it's going to call children, it's going to call everybody. It's like, I guess that classical ballet, like, the Nutcracker, I think pretty much everyone knows it. But if you go into other, like Les Filles or La Film Café or stuff like that, it's people don't know that one, so they might get bored. They might not understand what's going on. So I feel like Leigh's, the way that she works in storytelling and dancing and just merges, it's just beautiful. Everybody can enjoy it.
We're really fortunate to have tremendously gifted dancers who are not trained in, like, some of our dancers are not, like Elena, not trained in makeup, but she loves it. She loves it, and she is really, you know, Wilma, I don't think she's a self-taught costume designer, and she's, you know, we start with character. What does the character look like? What are the movements so that we know that the costume is not going to be constricting in any way. So it's like, okay, they need to move, they need to be flowy, they need to be sleek, they need to have, you know, these colors or these jewels or whatever. So that, again, always starts with character. What's the story, what's the character, and how is that going to be expressed in the costume?
Definitely. The first thing that you hear about zombie ballet, like, it makes no sense whatsoever. So trying to still have that dancer profile, but be dead and play a zombie, it's very hard. People would think like, oh, it's easy, you just like fling yourself and don't do anything, but it's actually harder because you have to look like you're dead, but you're actually holding your body so low, so stiff that you won't fall down. Because if you just go like this, you're gonna fall down on stage. So you need to have the power in your legs, in your muscle, and like every single muscle that you have, so you can convey that I'm dead. Those movements, they look like you're dragging your feet, you look like you're dead, but you're actually, it's just harder. So it's a lot of process. Leigh talks to us a lot about like the zombie sway. That's how we start. We just looked and we just start swaying, and once we find that, it's just the movements. It is hard because it's not pretty, and the idea about ballet is you have to look pretty, you have to make everything look pretty. But I think that with zombies, it's not the prettiness of it, it's your ability to look dead, but also look like you're dancing, like you're like there's energy around you. It is hard when you're trained to look pretty, and then you see this and you're like, what's this? I don't understand it. But as soon as you start understanding it, yes, it's not beauty. It's not the classical beauty that you'll see. It's not everybody like having pretty pink tutus and crowns and tiaras and dancing around. But you see like this core, you see this piece of zombies. Like I think this time there are like 28 zombies, and they all look like dead people, but they look like they're dancing together. And that unison, that cohesiveness that it creates is amazing. Because yeah, just looking at the stage, you're like, these people are looking dead, but they also look good. So how does that work? It's just Leigh's magic. People should just come to see Sweet Sorrow because I think they're gonna have a lot of fun. There was a lot of effort and time put into it, and I think people will enjoy a lot. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll get scared. I think you'll have a very different experience than with other ballets. You'll see yourself reflected in the dancers. It's just a lot of fun. And I think that you should come and watch it because it's also an original story, and everybody likes original stories. And yeah, nobody have thought about like Romeo and Juliet being zombies and then going to the underworld. So that's a new thing.
So we are performing at the Lanterman Auditorium in La Cañada on October 19th and 20th. The 19th is a 7 p.m. show, and the 20th is a 4 p.m. matinee. And they're family friendly, so even though they're kind of creepy, it's not super scary. We've had people at this shows who are like little kids, little kids, but it's definitely for all ages. And then we will be streaming it online, and there are tickets available for that too. And will start on October 30th and go to November something. Yeah. But so you could watch it on Halloween if you wanted to. It will be available.
If you want to see Sweet Sorrow, a zombie ballet, once again, you can check it out on October 19th at 7 p.m. and October 20th at 4 p.m. And if you can't make it to the live performance, though I recommend you do, but if for some reason you can't, you can catch the digital encore starting October 30th. Go to zombieballet.com for more information. And make sure to check out Leigh's company on social media to stay updated for future shows. It's important to support independent art and independent artists. And on that note, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe to our channel. We showcase our own work, but as you've seen, we also spotlight or review other spooky theater. We review scare acting and production values of haunts. We bring you with us to lots of spooky events and much, much more. If it's spooky or it's theater, we try to cover it. A special thank you to the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company for inviting us out, and also thank you to you for watching us. And until next time, support your local scare actor.